Slowly, the Koyo Regulatory Company found itself driven into a corner. Kondou did his best to try and explain to them that he and his men were only there to protect the area around Kofu Castle, in hopes that the situation might be resolved without bloodshed. Unfortunately, one of the new recruits cried out that they were the Shinsengumi and opened fire on the castle's defenders. Great. That was the spark that lit the powder keg. The bulk of our opponent's forces turned out to be men from the Tosa domain, who had been trained in Western tactics and weapons. Oops. I should have looked at that. Oh no. I was just like, oh no, not again. A domain ruled by Lord Yamauchi, an opposition daimyo. Publicly, the domain supported imperial unification, but many of its ronin were, in fact, imperial nationalists. Our guns were old and didn't have the range to match the Tosas. It quickly became a hopeless battle. Kondou had no choice but to retreat. We have to go, Kondou! If we don't go now, you'll be killed!
But my men are still fighting out there! We can't run away and leave them! I won't leave them behind!
Kondou! If you stay, then you'll be killed too! Even if we lose this battle, Hijikata says that as long as you're safe, there's still hope. We can regroup and fight back later! I grabbed Kondou's hand and pulled him as hard as I could towards the road down the mountain. He looked across the battlefield at his men. They were hopelessly outnumbered, many already fallen. The smell of death stung our noses. I saw tears well up at the corners of his eyes. He bowed deeply toward the men still engaged in battle just as Saito returned from the front line. Saito? There you are. His steely expression was colored by streaks of ash and dust from the battlefield.
Are you prepared for the retreat? Good. Let's go.
Right! Come on, Kondou! We have to go!
Right.
Well, at least he let me drag him. Saito and I took hold of him and ran into the forest to escape under cover of night. We'll be in Hachioji soon, Kondou. Hang in there.
Right.
Perhaps it was because I'd never seen him lose before, but this was the first time I'd seen Kondou so drained.
I'm sorry for being so, forward. I let so many of my men die.
You can't beat yourself up over that now. Like Hijikata said, we just don't have what it takes to beat an army with Western weapons and tactics. I might as well have kept my mouth shut for all that my words seemed to reach him. Kondou continued staring numbly beyond us.
Perhaps if someone else were the chief, they might still be alive.
Are you listening to me? I said... Just then.
Hey, who's out there?
From the other side of the bushes, I heard a voice that didn't sound familiar. Uh-oh. I peeked out just long enough to catch sight of a uniform that didn't belong to any of our soldiers. We froze. Saito, however, looked straight to the bushes.
I know you heard me. Who are you?
I'll buy you some time. Take the chief and escape.
Thank you, Saito. Yeah, he might be able to fool them for a bit because he's got a Western-looking uniform. Be safe, Bean. I gave him a quick bow of thanks and then tiptoed away, Kondou in tow. We had to rush down the mountain as quickly as possible. Amagiri! Just as I had finally managed to get Kondou moving at a decent pace, a shadow leapt out of the undergrowth to bar our way.
I had a feeling you might be here.
Ah! The shadow was none other than the demon Amagiri, companion of Kazuma.
Yukimura. Wasn't he with the Satsuma?
Yes.
Then we can no longer escape. As a man, I wish to take responsibility for this war and all the men I've lost. Will you ask him to assist me with my suicide?
Kaishaku. An appointed executioner who beheads criminals committing seppuku to lessen their pain. Huh. So an executioner who will behead you to stop you from stabbing yourself? So it's less painful for you, but you still get the honor of committing seppuku? How interesting. You couldn't have asked a better man to ask you to assist you with your honorable suicide. Whether he'll do it, I don't know, but he would respect. He would respect you. What? No, I can't let you die here. Amagiri had remained silent for our short exchange, but now he spoke up.
Yes, I serve the Satsuma domain, but I have been given no orders regarding the Shinsengumi. My only business here is with the girl.
Me?
Kazuma is vexed by you and the young man Hijikata.
I couldn't have picked a better choice of words on Makiri. Kazuma is quite vexed by you.
He disregards the domain's wishes and does as he pleases, not as he is ordered. The Satsuma domain is troubled. However, we do not yet care to cut our ties with the Satsuma domain.
Amagiri's eyes promised violence, and his body tightened, ready to make good on that promise.
For that reason, Chizuru Yukimura, you must die here.
Wait! Amagiri! I thought you and I were bros! Come on! Don't do this! You've always been so good to me in the past. Don't kill me just because I vexed Kazuma. Kill Kazuma. I'm a rare female demon. Ah! He had no weapon, but I knew just how powerful he was even without one. Had I been carrying the finest sword ever made, he still could have ended my life easily. Nonetheless, I wouldn't let myself be killed, no matter how futile that fight might prove to be. I had made a vow. I drew my sword. Kondou, go! This man is after me, and only me. You must escape.
But...
I'll be fine. I have a sword, and he has no weapons at all. Please, the Shinsengumi needs you. You can't abandon them. Kondou's mouth hung slack for a moment, speechless. Then he shut it, set his jaw, and drew his sword. My boy.
No. No matter the reason, an honorable warrior cannot run away and leave a woman to fight alone.
Kondou, what are you saying? Without a word, Kondou got in stance slowly, closing the distance between Amagiri and himself.
I am the chief of a defeated army. My recklessness has sent many of my men to their deaths. But I can still give my life to protect a woman. As a warrior, no, as a man, I can think of no better way to die.
No! His face was calm and serene, and there was no hesitation in his eyes. I'd seen that look before, on Inoue's face just before he died under Kazuma's blade. He couldn't be convinced. His mind was made up. When he spoke, his voice rang with determination.
I am Isami Kondou, chief of the Shinsengumi. Yeah!
His sword held high, he charged toward Amagiri. No! He was going to die, just like Inoue had. I buried my face in my hands, overcome with despair and helplessness. But then... the intense force of their clash made my body tremble. Amagiri instantly faced Kondou.
You challenge me knowing that you cannot win, for the sake of someone who cannot defend themselves. Your actions are worthy of respect.
At the last moment, he slid aside as if made of water. He grasped Kondou's blade with his left hand and drove it right into Kondou's stomach. Damn! Amagiri!
Go!
As Kondou began to fall toward the ground, Amagiri flipped him around so that he slammed directly onto his back.
I've knocked most of the air out of him. He won't be able to move for a while.
He glanced down at Kondou groaning on the ground, then turned his eyes to me. Well.
You are next, Chizuru Yukimura. Do not blame me for what I must do.
Amagiri swung his fist mercilessly. Well, this is awkward. His fist pounded me to the ground as I had no time to dodge his pacey attacks. I felt like my whole body was going to shatter. Probably the idea. Enduring the pain, I got back up.
You should have noticed the difference in our power just a second ago. You sure you still want to put up a fight?
Well, you want me to just lie on the ground and let you pummel me into a paste? Sheesh. Let me at least try to fight back.
Very well. And then I will humor you shortly.
While clutching my Kodachi, I assumed my stance before performing an all-out charge towards Amagiri. However, he evaded my attack with no effort. Ah! I couldn't let one swift dodge deter me. I muttered this to myself and I started to swing once, twice, and then thrice at him. Have at thee. However, Amagiri's elegant technique moved him out of the path of my blade, like splitting the path of water. No matter how many times I charged and slashed at him, there was no way my blade would connect with him. Then finally... Gah! I hadn't seen his leg move until it slammed into my arm with the force of a cannonball. Ow. Ah! Immediately, the pain was so overwhelming it felt as if time had stopped. I could no longer hold my Kodachi, and it clanged as it fell to the floor. Ah! My hands clasped the area where he kicked me, and my knees fell to the floor. No! I had to get up! My brain screamed at me to move, to pick up my sword and fight, but the roar of pain drowned it out.
This battle is concluded. Do not fear. It will be quick. Then you will hurt no longer.
I'm sorry, Hijikata, I thought to myself. You said to protect Kondou. You told me to survive. But in the end, I couldn't do anything right. I squeezed my eyes shut as the tears slid down my cheeks and waited for the blow to fall. Toshi always knows when I need him. I'm like, there's no way I'm on the bad ending already, gosh darn.
Giving up so soon. The Shinsengumi don't stop fighting till they're dead. The only thing on your mind right now should be how you're going to outthink this chump.
That voice. It couldn't be. It could. My head shot up just in time to see Hijikata leap through the air and land a sword blow on Amagiri's arm. Wow. Toshi with the short white hair. Looks pretty... I actually like him with the short white hair more so than the long one.
You!
Only thought I'd be fighting the Imperial Army out here. Guess I'll be taking care of a demon, too.
Have you not learned a thing since the battle with Kazuma the other day? A Fury is a mere echo of a true demon. No matter how powerful you may think yourself, you cannot defeat us.
Never know till you try. You know, they say if you're trying to fight a swordsman bare-handed, you have to be 3 times as good as he is.
I see. Only bloodshed will satisfy you. Very well. I shall be your opponent.
He gave Hijikata a short, polite bow and dropped himself easily into a ready stance. Hijikata's... oh, I gotta say this again. Izumi no Kami Kanasada flickered through the air, little more than a streak of silver. Amagiri blocked with one hand and dodged away from the flickering blade.
What?
Before Hijikata could react, Amagiri's foot drove itself into his stomach.
Gah!
Hijikata's face twisted in pain and he staggered back a step. Perhaps it was his fury-born strength, or perhaps it was simply adrenaline, but he surged back and leapt toward Amagiri.
Oh!
His sword leapt forward to bury itself in Amagiri's chest. Dang! Blood spurted out, splashing across Hijikata's face. He jerked back, pulling his sword free. No sooner was it out than the wound began to close.
Right. You guys heal quick, don't you? So it's straight through the heart or not at all, huh? Guess it would be too easy otherwise.
His sword shone with fresh blood.
I've got you figured out, though. I know how you move. You're tough, but you're not impossible.
Drenched in blood, Hijikata looked more like a monster than a human being. His eyes were wide and hungry. There was something terrifying and inhuman about his expression as he whipped his sword through the air.
Gah!
Amagiri leapt back, Hijikata's sword almost catching his fingers as he did so. Jabs and parries, feints and counterfeints. The battle flowed between them like a living thing, its changes moving too fast for any mortal eyes to track. Neither man showed any sign of tiring as they dodged and attacked in ways that would have been unthinkable to any human. Even in the middle of that maelstrom of death and violence, I could see Hijikata smiling. The smell of blood hung heavy in the air, and his grin spoke of a Fury's lust for death.
I never imagined that a Fury could match me in battle. You are unexpected. This power of yours, what will you do with it?
What? Protect those I care for. What other reason could there be for wanting power?
Those you care for. Would you count the Tokugawa shogunate among that number?
No. This is bigger than the shogunate. They don't even compare.
Amagiri closed his eyes and was silent. What had gotten into him? Why'd he stop fighting? Look, dude, this Amagiri just wants to have tea more than anything. Alright? This was the perfect time to strike! I reached down slowly and picked up the sword I dropped only minutes before. I began to move forward when a hand on my shoulder stopped me. Bean!
Stay back.
But Hijikata is going to...
That demon no longer thirsts for blood. This battle is over.
Ah, Saito, looking out for your Amagiri boy. I can't wait to do your route next and just have you and Amagiri talk philosophy to each other. And like, I respect you. I do too. It's too bad we're enemies. Yeah. Until the next fight? Yeah, bro. What?
Demons are not meant to involve themselves in the world of humans. Now that you have become a Fury, you belong in the shadows as well.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not interested in my name being in the history books.
Well, if you understand that, I shall leave the rest to you.
What?
He is proud, even for a demon. If you have indeed humiliated him, I doubt he will ever forgive you. It is unlikely that you will defeat him. However, if there is something you wish to protect, then please. Use the power you've been granted to do so.
In his own stoic way, Hijikata looked as confused as I felt. He was stoically confused. Can Amagiri be trusted? Yes. What were his true intentions?
There is one more thing I must tell you. The power of the Furies is not magic or a gift from the gods. Great strength, lightning speed, and mortal wounds that close themselves. This power was already within you, but had you stayed human, you would have spent it in decades, not minutes. You are only borrowing these things.
Oh! My hands flew to my mouth. By borrowing, did he mean that when Hijikata used the speed and strength of a Fury, he was picking away at his future, his life?
So you're saying that every time I use that stuff, my life gets a little shorter?
Yes.
Huh. Well, makes sense. Seemed too good to be true. Guess it's only natural I'd have to trade something for this kind of power.
Then I will be on my way.
Hold on. I want to ask you something.
And that is...
You sure you want to let us get away? If you don't kill me now, I'm pretty sure I'll end up killing your pal Kazuma.
If you defeat him, then that was all he amounted to. We demons are not sentimental.
Dang. Get hecked, Kazuma. Then, with a last polite nod, he disappeared into the night. His enemy gone at last, Hijikata slumped and took a long, deep breath. Hijikata, are you alright?
Yeah, fine. Where's Kondou? Over there.
Is he still alive? Hijikata nodded and ran over to the chief. Oh, hi.
Kondou, are you okay? Are you hurt?
He looked as if he had seen a ghost. Oh, yeah. Have you... I guess he hasn't seen Toshi yet as a Fury, has he? No wonder he's like, whoa! Hijikata stood before him, his white hair and red eyes bright in the moonlight. A Fury.
Toshi, you...
Oh.
Hijikata started and looked away almost guiltily. Kondou stared at him for a moment before asking in a soft, stunned voice.
Are you... a Fury?
Yeah. I didn't have a choice, alright? It was for the Shinsengumi.
For a moment he sounded very composed, but as I peered closer, I realized that he was desperately avoiding Kondou's gaze. He couldn't bear to look his friend in the eye. Oh. Well, that's new. We were silent for several moments, and when the first raindrop hit me, it took me by surprise.
Oh. It's starting to rain. Look, we've got to get back to Edo and start reorganizing. We need to discuss our next move.
Right. Come on, Kondou, we have to hurry. I turned to make sure Kondou was following, but he simply stood there as if he'd forgotten how to walk. Didn't he get stabbed in the stomach? Kondou? Is something wrong? It began to rain harder, and still Kondou didn't move. Rain ran down his cheeks to his chin. Or were they tears?
What have I been doing? Today I sent young men who trusted me, into battle. They died. And I've made you, a man I've known for years, into a Fury. A monster.
Kondou, what is this? No one blames you. It doesn't matter how great of a tactician you are. Swords can't beat guns. I made bad calls too, at Tobafushimi, and it got Gen and Yamazaki killed. Defeat is in the past. We can't change it now. What we can do is turn this around and win the next time. Right? Besides, I don't regret becoming a Fury. Hell, I'm stronger and faster than I ever was, and I can use that to help you out. Nothing could make me happier than that.
Rain poured down their faces. Surely it was my imagination, but for a moment it almost looked as though Hijikata was crying. It's just rain. Insert Roy Mustang. Kondou stared at him for a long moment, then finally drew himself up.
I apologize. I was being foolish. Forget what I said.
Something in his voice told me that even he didn't quite believe that. Aw, bros. You guys should hug. Aw, so sad. Hey, we made it through chapter 1 without Kondou being captured, beheaded, or killed. That's good. I'm proud of us. Yee. I'll take the small victories. We returned to Edo to meet up with Nagakura and the rest of our forces who were at the Hadamato mansion. Kondou, rather expectedly, was disconsolate from his first defeat on the battlefield, more so than most of the captains had expected. Even after he had returned to headquarters, he spent most of his time moping. Yoshinobu, the supreme commander of the shogunate army, was ordered out of the imperial court and into house arrest at the Kane temple in Ueno? A punishment inflicted by the government upon those who sought to undermine their authority with political expeditions. And Ueno? That should be number 9. Here we go. an area that houses the Tokugawa clan in Edo. Kane Temple is located here, as its location is central to the rest of the city. The imperial court was now in the hands of the Satsuma and the Choshu, making it painfully clear that the loyalist faction was in a numerically untenable position. Yeah, about that. And now it's March. Well, that was very quick. Hey, I'm sweeping again. It's been a while since I've swept. Sometime later, I was sweeping the entrance when I looked up to see Saito on his way out. Oh, Saito. Are you off to work? Have a good day.
When you have a moment, could you make some of your delicious tea and take it to the commander?
Aww. The bean! He thinks my tea's delicious. Without even waiting for me to respond, he gave a curt nod and was off. Saito had never been talkative, but lately he'd seemed exceptionally taciturn. I thought he was being incredibly sweet. She's like, he's been, like, kind of taciturn. Perhaps he was still upset over what had happened. Oh, I wondered... I'm like, is another split happening with you two? That means your guys' roots are going to be so different again. That's wild. Are you guys really leaving?
Yeah. It wasn't easy, but we've made up our minds. Our path isn't Kondou's. I don't think we can follow him anymore.
Oh. It's going to be lonely here without you. What are you going to do now?
We haven't quite figured that out yet. We'll still be taking it to the Imperial Army. That's not going to change. I'm sure you'll be hearing stories in a couple months about how we killed 100 rebels apiece. Heck, probably in a couple weeks. Well, take care.
Okay. You too. Aww, they left. We'd been so close. It was sad to see them go. Did Heisuke go with them, or did Heisuke have to part from them again? Because that sucks. Then again, I'd only known them a few years. How sad their departure had to be for Kondou, Hijikata, and Saito, who'd known them much, much longer. And one more person who's not here right now. Okita's condition worsened, and he'd been moved to a separate house in Sendagaya. Oh, Soji. One by one, our friends from Shie Hall were disappearing. Why had it come to this, I wondered. Cleaning suddenly felt particularly pointless. I decided to go make some tea and see if Hijikata was in his room. Well, might as well. Hijikata, I've brought you some tea. I opened the door as I spoke and stopped. Peering halfway in, I saw Sanon and Heisuke. Okay, so Heisuke's still here. Oh my gosh! The pink and the short hair! You look like Soma from, I mean, not I'm thinking of Soma in this game. You look like Sora from Kingdom Hearts, Heisuke. Oh, look at your hair! Oh, and I love that pink, though, Sanon. It's mwah. Okay, I know you're all very serious, but I had to, like, drool over you. Sorry, I'm done. All three faces were set in hard lines. Whatever I had interrupted, it was serious. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize you were in the middle of a meeting. I began to back away as quickly as I could when...
You can stay.
His words froze me in place, but before I could reply, Sanon spoke.
You can't possibly be serious about this. Why would you cancel augmentation of the Fury Core?
I am serious. There won't be any more Furies. Make do with what you have.
I'm sorry, but I can't support your decision. The Shinsengumi's manpower is at an all-time low. I think expanding the Fury Core should be a top priority. Heisuke told me that Nagakura and Harada have left. That's a serious blow to us, Hijikata. Even if we can recruit more warriors, there'll just be more rabble. As soon as they're sent into battle, they'll flee. Wasting our energy on men like that is foolish. Don't you think that it would be better to concentrate our efforts on expanding and improving the Furies?
Heisuke looked down at the floor. He'd said nothing since I'd arrived, but it was clear from his face that, Fury or not, he didn't always agree with Sanan. I stood tensely, watching their cold, fixed gazes.
You have a point. If all we want to do is increase our strength, then the fastest way to do that is to focus on the Fury core.
Then why do you...
There's a problem with the Furies. A big one. We only just found out about it. Our source is... reliable.
He meant to tell Sanan what he'd learned from Amagiri.
The power of a Fury comes from your... I guess you could say potential. Basically, the more you use it, the shorter your life becomes.
What?
Sanan's eyes, usually so cool and calculating, went wide as saucers behind his glasses. Nani? Suddenly, he dropped to his knees as the realization of his powerlessness immediately registered to him. Aw, Sanan.
Yeah. We shouldn't be using the Furies unless we really have to.
The color had drained from his face. He's like, I've only got like a day left to live at this point. Silence filled the room for several long seconds before Sanan finally raised his head and spoke.
Then that is yet another reason why our research should continue. It is a flaw, yes, and a serious one, but with more research, we may find a way to circumvent or even counteract it entirely. As a Fury, surely you understand.
This is not a request, Sanan. This is an order. As your commander, I am telling you that research on the Furies will stop. There will be no more Furies.
Sanan said nothing. Instead, he simply glared at Hijikata, a second stretched into minutes.
Let's go, Sanan.
He sat unmoving for a few more moments, until at last he sagged, defeated, and turned to Heisuke. There were lines in his face, perhaps proof that his life was already leaving him steadily. My boy.
Very well.
Sanan and Heisuke had turned to leave the room when...
Oh, Kondou. What are you doing here? Going somewhere?
Oh, no, I'm just out for a walk. Just passing by. Don't mind me.
Squint. I heard them exchange a few short pleasantries in the hallway, and then 3 sets of footsteps faded away. The room grew awkwardly silent. Oh. Hijikata let his gaze drift out the window. The tea is cold now. I'll go pour you a new one.
No, this is fine. I'm thirsty. Cold tea's perfect.
He took a sip and sighed again quietly, a distant look in his eyes. He'd taken on a tremendous workload, tiring him day in and out, and he looked drained beyond all reason. Plus, he's been on the outs with his brother, Sanan. How hard had Nagakura and Harada's departure hit him?
He's right about Shinpachi and Harada leaving. That hurt us bad.
His voice shook almost imperceptibly, and his mouth curled into a bitter smile as he spoke.
Well, I had a feeling this might happen someday. It's our fault for falling short of what they wanted. But damn. We sure have lost a lot of people. Things are... different.
I couldn't imagine what was going through his head. To be a leader and command the loyalty and obedience of tens or hundreds of men was something I couldn't begin to understand. Every night he worked until the sun came up. It was painful for the Furies to be up during the day, but every day Hijikata met with shogunate representatives. Even I could see the horrible toll it was taking on his body. What could I do for him? Tell him to rest. Tell him to stop. Aren't both of those the same thing? I mean, is stop, like, more permanent? I don't know. Let's try it and see what happens. I mean, tell him to rest is pretty self-explanatory, but I'm like, I'm not sure about the tell him to stop thing.
Please, Hijikata. You have to stop.
What? His voice was much harder than I'd expected, and it gave me pause. No, I thought to myself this was something I had to say. I'm only telling you to do what you told Sanon to do a few minutes ago. Don't use your Fury abilities unless it's an emergency. Okay, stop using your Furies. Yeah, that's good.
Why should I listen to you?
Well, you became a Fury because you were protecting me from Kazuma. If you hadn't fought a demon, then you'd still be a human now. You wouldn't have had to...
This again. Look, I told you, I chose to do this. Nobody forced me.
When you say things like that, it just makes it worse. If you're in pain, please, just say so. Can't you just tell me the truth? Don't you wish you'd never become a Fury? For a moment the room was silent, and then Hijikata began to laugh.
Man. I just can't win with you, can I? You really are an Edo girl, aren't you?
Yeah, he's no good with them Edo ladies.
I think I've told you this before, haven't I? Anyway, I'm my family's youngest. They're farmers in Tama.
A quaint agricultural region west of Edo. Both Kondou and Hijikata hail from here, having developed aspirations to become warriors instead of joining their families as farmers.
My mom and dad both died when I was still young. That meant my sister, who's about 4 years older than me, had to raise me.
Hey, there's 4 years between me and my brother.
You sound kinda like her. Soji's sister Mitsu sounds the same way too.
Soji, Okita's eldest sister, who serves as the Okita family's current head. After marrying her husband, the two chose to manage the family's estate. Their other sister, King, was married off.
When you go off, it's like I'm getting scolded by my family. Makes me feel like I've got to listen to you.
Really? I never heard him talk about his childhood like that before. That was sweet. It felt surreal.
If what Amagiri told us is true, then so long as I don't use my Fury powers, I'll be fine, right? If it gets bad, I'll tell you. Stop worrying about me.
He'd likely keep most of his pain to himself. That was just who he was. But if he really meant that he would tell me when it became unbearable... All right. I understand. I take his word for it this time. So, what will the Shinsengumi be doing now?
Well, we're going to need to get Kondou back on his feet first. But after that, we plan on heading north.
North?
Right now, the Shogunate's about as useful as tits on a bull, but we still got the northeast. If Aizu and Sendai can hold the center, then we've still got a chance.
Tits on a bull, huh? Alright. Interesting mental image. Clan related by blood to the Takagawa clan, and were put in charge of the office of the Kyoto Military Commissioner. They supported the Shinsengumi in Kyoto. And Sendai. Sendai. There we go. A large and influential domain in the northeast, governed by Yoshikuni Date, an opposition daimyo, leader of the Northern Alliance.
Dr. Matsumoto is rounding up some men, weapons, and ammunition for us at Nagareyama. We'll meet up there, then head to Aizu. Even if the rebels manage to take Edo, they'll probably have to fall back to Kyoto eventually. Once they do that, we can take Edo pretty...
Oh no. Suddenly his body twisted and hunched, and he grasped a hand to his suddenly heaving chest.
Gah!
Hijikata's eyes bulged from his head in pain. Hundreds of sweat beads appeared all over his face. Hijikata? What's wrong? He only shook his head, unable to speak through the pain. I'd seen him like this before. Is it the bloodlust? He didn't respond, but I'd known I was right even as I asked. Alright, let's do this again. Hijikata was in pain. I had no other choice. With steady hands, I unsheathed my kodachi and laid the edge against my fingers, ready to cut. Uh-oh. But Hijikata's hand on my wrist stopped me. Why? The pain will go away if you drink blood. I tried to pull away, but he held fast and shook his head.
I'll do it. Just sit still.
Oh. What? It's okay if you, like, bite into my neck, but I can't stab my own finger? I have questions. He moved around behind me and loosened my collar. I felt the cool air touch my neck, followed by Hijikata's fingers. He was looking for a place to make the cut. A moment later, I felt the kiss of the cold blade against my skin, and then without a sound, I felt it sink in. I bit my lip at the pain, but said nothing. I just entrusted my body to Hijikata. Well, dang, girl. Eventually. Whoa! Alright! Toshi got into the vampire thing really early on. We didn't get that with Soji unless we were on his bed. I guess Soji was more into licking stuff off our hands. Alright, I'll make notes. Soji likes hands. Toshi likes neck. Got it. Ah. His warm lips touched the cut on my neck, and then I felt his face press against me as he began to drink. Again and again he drank, as thirsty as a man who had been stranded in the desert. I could feel his breath on my skin. Where is his other hand, by the way? It made me shiver.
Never before had I been so close to a man. Nerves made my body begin to twist until Hijikata's hands grabbed my shoulders. When he spoke, his voice was low and husky.
Okay.
Don't turn around.
Oh, okay. I realized suddenly that he didn't want me to see him in his fury state. Those few words, a last strained defense of his wounded pride, tore at my heart, and I felt a lump rise in my throat. For his sake, I did my best to calm my breathing, rapid from nerves and excitement. Though I did my best to hide it, there was no denying that my heart was beating faster and faster. Well, it makes the blood pump faster, so that's good.
I'm sorry. I just can't afford to lose it right now.
Was he saying that to convince me or to convince himself?
Of course, I understand. You don't have to hold back. I want to help in whatever way I can.
The day that I'd watched Inoue and Yamazaki die, I'd felt a horrible, tortuous regret. There had been nothing I could do for them. Ever since, I'd cursed myself for being unable to help the Shinsengumi, after they'd sheltered and protected me for so long. But now at last there was something I could do. I could ease Hijikata's thirst. Whew, the innuendos. I felt his grip on me tighten. Emotions washed over me. Guilt, disappointment, anger, regret. And I realized they were Hijikata's. His hands were warm. Eventually, he let go slowly and stepped away. His breathing had returned to normal, and there was color in his face again.
Sorry for doing that to you.
Oh, no, it's nothing. See? The cut's already closed up. I'll be staying here for quite a while. So if you ever need me, please, just let me know.
So I can just drink your blood whenever?
Yes.
I nodded and he gave me a crooked smile.
Shouldn't say things like that, kid. Someone's gonna use you up and throw you away.
He was only joking, and I knew it, but there was a part of me that felt if it was Hijikata who used me up, then maybe it wouldn't really be so bad. Oh no. Not like this. Not like this.